Welcome to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. We will be speaking with our guest, Anne Ravarch, and you can help me pronounce your name and do it correctly. And we also have our co-host, Dr. Deepak Sharma, with us from New Delhi, India, in the Orbits Clinic. And it's very, very exciting to speak with Anne today as she prepares to go on a mission walk, and we're going to learn about how she was inspired and what is the purpose and who she will meet, and it might be you. So also I want to thank Amnon, the producer of our show, who is dedicated to making the lights work here and the color and sound sparkling. So we are ready to begin. Dr. Sharma, welcome. And he's going to get his sound on for a moment. It's not him. Okay. Dr. Sharma, welcome to the show today.
Welcome, Debbie. Thank you so much. And welcome to Annie. And thanks to come with us. Thank you.
Okay. And Anne, tell me how you want me to pronounce your name, because I did.
Hi, Debbie.
I did misspell it, even though we have met in person in real life.
Yes, that's forgiven. It's not that easy. Not even for Flemish people. It's Vervarke, Anne Vervarke.
Vervarke. Okay.
Yes, Debbie. Very well.
Thank
okay.
And today is October 8th, 2012. Yes. You are preparing. And I did a bunch of studying and reading last night about people who went on walks across their country and also around the world. And today is the anniversary of the song that John Lennon wrote called Imagine. So this was the day that he published it and the world heard. If you don't mind, I'm going to read the words. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try, no hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do, nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. And I don't know, is that part of your mission?
Well, that's indeed one of the most beautiful texts I know. So it cannot be an accident or coincidence that you just happen to find this one, or it's the anniversary today.
Today is the anniversary, and it's because of many birthdays in October. Yours, happy birthday. My brother was born today. And
happy birthday to him.
Yeah, and there are many famous people. You will be in history also.
Well, I don't think so. But anyway, it seems to me, I don't know, it seems to me that doing a walk or going for a walk is like something that is more known in the United States than it is in Europe.
Oh.
As I was in the United States in June, I saw like advertisements for a walk, I think something for AIDS in San Francisco. And when I, let's say, thought about or had this idea to do this walk, and I sent my first announcement, which was somewhere in the summer, a lot of people just shrugged their shoulders and, well, Anand is going for a walk, see? Like I was going on a holiday.
Uh-huh.
So I had to explain to many people. The idea came actually last year as I was pondering over next year, you'll be 60, and thinking over what does it mean in a person's life. And I thought, one of the things I thought, like, if you become 60, well, it's a new stage in your life, and it's finally time to do what you really want to do. If you don't start to do it now, you will never. And the first idea that came up was I would like to go for a walk, because I really like walking and doing long hikes and you know, and be in nature. And so that was what I really, that first thing that came up that I really want to do. But I'm a homeopath. I mean, I'm a homeopath for the last 30 years, and it's not only my job, it's like it's my life. So, and since I don't want to walk aimlessly, I thought I have to combine this. I do walk for homeopathy. That was the first idea, and it appealed to me. It sounded like a very good idea, and as the idea of, let's say, grew in myself, developed in myself, it became more or less like a plan, something that I saw in a bigger scheme and a bigger plan. And maybe your song explains it a little bit.
Yes, there have been a number of people who have gone on a form of a mission walk.
Yeah.
If you look up the Peace Pilgrim, she walked for 28 years with absolutely nothing but the clothes that she wore, and she depended on the kindness of people, and she brought the world this concept of peace. And she met many people, such as the Dalai Lama, along the way. And she is a very famous woman. And now, and many people really don't know, who are listening today, about your background. So I want to introduce that you are classically trained homeopath from Belgium and also in the Netherlands, and that you have a school of homeopathy, and that you established the Center for Classical Homeopathy, which is CKH, in Leuven, Belgium. And are you still continuing to teach with this school?
Well, the school, as you just said, I established in the 90s, and I was the main teacher for 15 years and the director, and it was a whole lot of work. You can imagine, because I was doing and the administration and the advertisement and the teaching and the team building for the other teachers, etc., a million things. And on top of that, my practice became more busy. So at a certain moment, I had to choose. And the organization of the school now is in the hands of Crystal Lombard since 5 years. She was my student. She was one of my best, I have to say. And she's an excellent administrator and coordinator as well. And she's skilled in teaching. So she combined all the requirements. And I asked her, and she said yes. So that was a good deal. And she became my boss, actually. So yes, I continued teaching in the school that I formally established, and under her directions, but not as much. So let's say I stopped teaching in the basic classes, and I mainly took the 4th and the 5th year under my responsibility, and I started teaching abroad more and more and giving master classes, which is, I think, a normal evolution. So over the years, because that's 7 years already, time goes so quickly, that she's the director. I'm still involved, I'm still involved with the teachers' team, and I'm supervising them, etc. But lesser than before. So yes, it's a smaller part of my teaching program now, as I have my own master classes in different countries and seminars.
So we know.
But I do a lot of teaching.
You do love teaching. You're passionate about teaching and letting the world know about homeopathy, and maybe this walk is an outreach of what you've always been doing, spreading the word about homeopathy. And how will you be teaching throughout your walk? And I know I've posted a whole article about what you're doing on Homeopathy World Community with a little map. So you do have a plan. I want to know exactly a little bit more about how you prepared and what you hope to do in terms of teaching on your walk.
Yes. Well, that is, a lot of things about the walk are still a little bit unknown to me, because it depends on the response and how things evolve, etc. So I call the whole project the next step, and I must admit it's a next step into the unknown for me. So it's a bit a matter of surrender. Although I try to plan things in advance, of course, and to arrange things and coordinate things, we still don't know, because I only want to stop or go where I'm invited. Yeah? Otherwise, that wouldn't be polite. So if homeopaths invite me, then I'll be happy to be there to help them with their cases, or to give a lecture or a seminar, or for a group of homeopaths to explain, even a live case. I love to do live cases and do the analysis together, because that's the best learning experience for everybody. We heard it again and again, and I think all homeopaths will agree with that. Once you have the opportunity to actually see a case live and analyze it with the supervisor and comment on it, and the best thing, of course, is if you can do the follow-ups. So that's what I prefer to do, the live cases, so I can help the homeopaths with their difficult cases, if they want to invite those people, or I can see a video, and I can help them and teach them how to come to, let's say, a good prescription. But I'll also be happy to, if they organize something in the local community, to explain for the general public what the homeopathy actually can do for you, how does a homeopath work, what kind of problems you can go to a homeopath with. Or I'd be happy to go to the local school and explain how they can have first aid homeopathic kits in the school or whatever. So the teaching can be on all levels, depending on the invitations.
And can you do the same trick again with the camera icon in the bottom, because your video is frozen again? So just click on
again. Yeah.
Yep, and now
Okay.
click.
And now
there you go.
Okay.
Okay, well, we hope that more people will learn about this journey that you're going on. And it is not as if you're just opening the door to your home and walking out and have no plan. You're actually putting dots on a map, and you're planning to stop along the way.
Oh, yeah.
In these different locations. And it sounds as if it's not, you don't necessarily need to have another homeopath to meet, but someone who wants to learn from you, so that it is open to more to the general public, that they're looking for, let's say, alternatives to traditional medicine and conservative medicine, and you might be a person who has some answers for them. You've been practicing how many? More than 20 years. How many years?
Yes, about 25, 27. I have to count. Yeah, since 89.
Yes, and you have a great background, not only as a teacher, but studied under great teachers. And the idea of a master class is something beautiful, because I think of it for musicians who are learning their skill in their instrument. And in the same way, to do a master class is something that can really improve your practice.
Yes, you're right. And with the technology we have today, so I don't have to stay home or actually travel to the people to help them in a little group, in a small group, because we have a masterclass now in San Francisco, maybe you know, and it's once a month, and it's called Master's Apprentice group, and there I follow a live case. So one of the homeopaths, let's say the volunteer who was courageous enough to do this in public, actually does the interview, the intake, and I follow wherever I am. It was last Saturday, so I followed my home place. But just imagine next month I'll be in Holland, and when I have a Skype or internet connection, I can also do my class in Holland. And if I'm in whatever country where I'm on internet, I can do the class, I can follow it. And not follow it, but actually lead it, because what we do is we send the patient out, as we do in the class in Leuven or in other countries, and then we do the analysis with the students who are there on the spot. So they are all involved, and it's an interactive class, and people from all over the world can join in. As they log in, they can follow the class from everywhere.
Well, you'll have to give us the details about that.
I
will post that up on the network on Homeopathy World Community. And
yes, sure.
for those who are listening and tuning in today, if you're in the United States, you can call us directly at area code 919-518-9773. We'd love to hear from you.
Just that's a lot of numbers, yeah.
And give Anne your blessings about a successful walk, and doing this type of thing is opens you up to vulnerabilities, to things that are unexpected, to surrender, as you said. And those folks who are on internationally, you can call in via Skype to Computers 2K Voice and talk directly to Anne and give her your wishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Here is the one question, Annie. Hello.
We hear you.
Yes. How you will explain the classical homeopathy? Because the who do not know about the homeopathy, how will differentiate between a classical homeopath or a general homeopath? Basically, the question is arising when a general patient in my OPD is asked about this question: who is the classical homeopath? Then how to explain the general difference?
So you asked me how will I explain the difference between a classical homeopath and another one?
Another is just simple. Those who do not hear about the homeopathy, how will you explain that this is a classical homeopathy and what is doing?
Yeah,
because here in India,
just for the newbie who has never heard of homeopathy before, what do you tell them?
Yes,
exactly. So actually, Debbie, you already asked me. You will meet homeopaths, but also the general public maybe who is interested. And indeed, I hope that it's not only a meeting of homeopaths among each other and homeopathic friends, because thank God I have a lot of homeopathic friends who invite me, and it's fun to see them. But, we have our homeopathic chats regularly. I don't have to go on a walk for that. So I hope that the local press will write about it, and the homeopathic press will, because the journals, they contacted me and they want interviews and articles. But I would prefer that the local press that is not a homeopathic press, would also be interested in the walk. And then people might ask themselves, like, what does she stand for? What is homeopathy? And I think, as I'm used to teach, I can explain in simple words the basics. And if the people is already a little bit informed, then I will tell them a bit more. Classical homeopathy, I will explain that it's the one remedy for the person, and clinical homeopathy is more treating the symptoms. But I, of course, will give some more explanation. I think I can do that.
That I explained that homeopathy is the individualization, and if you are treat a disease, then you are using a therapeutic homeopathy.
I would say that there's different homeopathy on different levels, and it depends on your need. It depends on the training of the homeopath. So there's a place for all these things. But classical homeopathy, I will explain that it is the most individualized, and it's the one best remedy for that person in that moment. That is the more holistic approach. You can adjust to the, let's say, to the understanding of the audience. I'm quite used to that.
Yes, I'm sure many people will have questions about the practice of homeopathy and how it can help them, and they might have questions about how something, the basic things that skeptics have about it has nothing in it. There's no molecules. So how can it affect me? And do you have an answer for them as you are getting prepared to go on this march?
As you say, we don't come completely unprepared because the two blogs, and I send you the link so you can give them to people interested. And the one blog on WordPress is contains a few buttons, and there's one button, research. And my coordinator, who made the blog, gathered more than 4,000 articles and research programs on homeopathy. So there's a whole lot of research done, and a lot of it has given positive results. So if people want to inform themselves, or if people have questions, I will advise them to inform themselves, because there's so much information. And I can give the results in short, but I will advise them to read it first. Because it's very difficult to discuss with somebody who is not informed. So I will just advise them first and tell them where they can inform themselves. That's why we collected it on a blog. It's all on the blog, actually.
That's an interesting way to answer the questions. Basically, since it's not a one-word or one-sentence answer and not easily explained, first to have a basis, a ground to speak upon, give some research links. And we have walkforhomeopathy.wordpress.com. We have your personal website, which is /blog. And I have these up on the chat, and thewhiteroom.be. And so those are the easiest ways to get started. Build some kind of a knowledge base first, and then you'll have a basis of which to have a conversation. So that makes sense. And what other kinds of challenges? Well, first I want to know, where are you walking? Tell us that.
Yes, that was a question, of course, that was unanswered until we had enough answers from people on the first announcement. And then it was heartwarming to have so many invitations, but they came from all over the world. And see, I'm walking, I'm not flying. So I'm very happy to have an invitation in Thailand, and a few in New Zealand, and in Australia and Canada, and all over Europe, and in Africa. But I'm walking, So as I gonna start in a bad season, that means October in Europe is getting cold and wet.
I've been concerned about that, because I woke up to blustery weather, and I say, oh my goodness, how are you going to do this? Like, let's say it's raining or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of people say, why the hell do you start in October? I said, because it happens to be my birthday. I can't help it.
I calculated out, because there must be a lot of birthdays in October. The January is when the conception was. So everybody was having a happy new year, and
probably. And I wanted to start this date. I mean, it's the day I become 60. I mean, it's like a special day, and it had to be that day. It's a Monday, so that's a good day to start. But let's say I've chosen Holland to start, because there were many invitations from Holland. That means a lot of homeopaths not living too far from each other. And if the weather is very bad, there's many people I can stay with and do their consultations in the evening, and we have a nice chat. And if anything goes wrong, I'm home in a few hours. So let's say these are my pilot months. I start in Holland until the end of the year. And then we'll see if we can go to Greece, because as you might have read or heard, George Viturkas honored me with an invitation, like you're welcome in Alonis as well. I'm very, very pleased. I think it would be polite not to go if the master calls. And Greece, my God, that sounds appealing. And we already plan to go to England because there are many invitations in England as well. And I'll be in Israel in the month of May. So there's few gaps in between we have to fill. But let's say until the end of May, we have like a scheme. It's not filled in day by day, but the general lines could be Holland first, then Belgium probably in January, February, but that's really depending on the weather. I mean, when it's freezing cold or pouring rain, I might take a break. I think that's reasonable.
Will you be taking a tent? I mean, every day you have to be somewhere along the route, and you're going to be on foot.
I'm not that brave. I'm not that brave, Debbie. I'm sorry. No, I will just stay with people if they invite me in the house in a nice warm bed, or I take a bed and breakfast. No, I won't go in a tent. I wouldn't dream of doing that. It's, the weather is horrible over here. And it's dark at 6 o'clock in the winter, at 5 o'clock. And what do you do in a tent?
Okay. I'm glad to hear that you will be snug and safe. And, the people who I have recently read have done this type of a journey. One man recently, he did the walk like Forrest Gump across America from Florida to California in 178 days. He walked, and it was just written up in the Huffington Post. And Nick, and I'm hoping that you will be written up in the Huffington Post. Maybe Dana will do a special story about you, Dana Ullman.
And that would be great.
We'll invite him. And so these people had a different vision, a different mission, that they were doing it as a spiritual journey within themselves because they either were searching for a meaning in their life or they wanted to give meaning for life for other people who didn't have a message. And for you, it is a teaching. It's a spreading of important information to the world.
Well, it's not only that. I must say, I called it the next step because, this, I think for my personal life, there's many levels in this walk. There's different dimensions. For my personal life, I think it's the next step, and it's a bit unknown, but I know it will be. But it's not very clear yet. So this indeed, the walking is a kind of meditative opportunity to go inside and think it over and and come to some conclusion where I will end up next. But it's also somehow, as I'm a bit on, you can call it a mission, or it's a calling. Like I put it in a bigger perspective. I also want to do some kind of service for homeopathy. I mean, and I do my share in practice and teaching, I think, but this next step is like, let's bring it to the people. I know it sounds maybe a little bit bombastic, but I think this is part of what I can do. Get some attention on homeopathy in a positive way. I would like this to be fun, like people walk with me and talk about it and share their wisdom, share their healing skills as they go somewhere, get it in the newspaper, make some, I don't know, some events, do something. I mean, bake pancakes, I don't know, and invite people to come and to talk with homeopaths. Like, who are you? What are you doing? What is all this negative information about homeopathy? Is it true that homeopathy is not proven yet? And then we can talk casually. We are always so serious. I mean, I can be serious if necessary, but I think there's another way to connect all the homeopaths. So part of my mission is to bring this message that homeopaths should stop, having their little disputes over all kind of little details and have all these subgroups that are quarreling instead of uniting and having contact even and at least respect for other alternative therapies and methods. that might be completely different than homeopathy, but that at least deserve our interest, because we're trying to do the same thing with different methods, but that's only a matter of style. The intention is the same, and in a broader perspective, we're all in the same large group of people trying to improve the health of other people by let's say non-toxic or natural methods. So we represent a huge amount of people. Our clients and all these different therapists are actually all working in the same direction. But since we all divided, and since we all working in our little communities, and since we have all these disputes, we are weak and very easy to be attacked or to be not taken serious or whatever. So that's part of the message, if you want. Like, link together, connect together, talk to each other, and that's for the professionals. That's and also, as I'm coming with presence. I'm coming with this message, and I would like to interview the people where I come, and I would like to, let's say, offer my services, since they offer me a meal or a drink or a chat or a stay. So I would do something in return, whether it is helping them with the patients or giving a lecture or whatever. And I bring some more presents, actually. I bring some books and things, little gadgets. And I want to take the message as well. So let's say it's like the postman. Bring something, but I also take something if they have a message for the community or for homeopathy in general. And I will write about it in the blog. So I would like this. That's my dream, If it's serving my personal purpose, that's already one purpose that is fulfilled. But if it would become a bigger, let's say, wave of awareness, that people connect with each other and join together, so they have a stronger group and they're not so much under attack. I don't know about the United States, but you must have heard that in Europe, homeopathy, and not only homeopathy, but all alternative healing systems are being limited day by day, and it all happens behind the curtains. One day you realize that these remedies are not available anymore, and then the other day you find out that this and this you can't do anymore, and little by little you get more and more limited, and in the end you're thinking, hey, but I'm spending all my life working day and night trying to do good for people, and all I get as a reward is like people treat you as you're irresponsible or you're illegal, and that's the best. The worst thing is that they consider you as half criminal, that you take advantage of sick people, that you don't know what you're doing. And so that's the other part of the message, that, hey, we are working hard. We spend a lot of money and time and effort in just trying to help you, And I think this
I hear your plea. I hear your heart breaking. I hear you saying the things that I speak daily on Blog Talk Radio, on the blogs, on Homeopathy World Community. I want to give you a little drop of encouragement. Kavitha Kukanur, she is written on the comment chat, and you are very inspiring to all homeopaths, opening avenues to awareness of alternative medicine and spreading homeopathy all over the world. Also, Kavitha has said, Anne, do you accept all private invitations? In general, how long do you plan to stay in one place? Do you have any time restrictions, or are you flexible? Because she is in the United States.
Yeah, I'm extremely flexible, but not to fly over for just one invitation to the States. She probably understands this. Thank you very much, by the way, for
But
the
if there
encouraging
were a
words.
lot of people in America, you
Sure,
would fly across. Okay.
sure.
And Yvonne has written, do you give other remedies if there is a specific ailment which does not cover the specific ailment, like an eating disorder? And would the patient need something to enhance the appetite? I don't know where she picked this question from, but maybe she's thinking of somebody in particular.
That's possible. Well, that's another topic, the way I treat, but everybody has his specialty and his or her limitations. So this is the same with me. I can say, but that's a whole different topic altogether. That I have, let's say, special or I have some easy access to similar prescribing, and that's my specialty. But not everybody is fully cured or only needs the similimum. Some people definitely need other remedies or even other treatments. And either I see what I can do or I just admit that it's beyond my capacities. And then I would send them to a colleague, of course.
Yvonne also asks, she's in Lebanon. Is that someplace that you would go one day also?
Why not?
So just invite her, Yvonne. I have recently written a blog on the website Homeopathy World Community about fear of cats. I mean, I'm kind of going a little bit off topic, but what I have shown is people are learning to overcome fears through hypnosis. So what other kinds of integrative medicines do you think are helpful or would recommend practicing, or giving a patient a number of somebody to go to?
Just in general, because
just in general,
to answer a question about specific symptoms of patients is hard. It's always hypothetical. But in general, I would say fears like that should be managed by homeopathy, because that's one of our, let's say, one of the kind of problems that homeopathy deals with on a daily basis, all kind of fears and phobias. If it would be impossible, if there would be like a traumatic event or some other cause that homeopathy doesn't touch, what other therapy should I or would I recommend? Maybe PC, Peter Chappell's remedies, because he designed actually remedies are very specific. Like he has trauma remedies, PC trauma or PC, well, let's say trauma or phobias. He has these very specifics that we don't have in homeopathy. And he calls them the second similum. You probably know that. He wrote 2 books about it. His latest book I'm reading for the moment. That's why I think about it. And his basic ideas, you have the first similum, that's for the person. And if that doesn't take away all the problems and some either physical pathology doesn't clear up under the right remedy, then you need a second similum. And that's a disease-specific remedy that he designed. It's not an ozone. And I would give it a try. I think it's quite convincing. But I'll see him in a few days. I mean, next week he invited me. He's in Holland, and we'll talk it over.
Well, maybe we'll have you on Blog Talk Radio to have a conversation with him live. Because
that would be great.
If you'd like. I'm curious because I always think, does he do music remedies? Or melodic? Or is that somebody else?
No, he calls it PC resonances or healing resonances. That's probably why you think it's music, but it's not. There's some frequency.
Okay, so it's a frequency. And when you get his remedies, are they in pellet form?
You can get them in pellet form, but you can also download them in different formats. And it is a bit depending on the kind of patient you have, of the kind of public, because not everybody will will trust the download if they're more used to take pills. And
Okay.
for instance, he works in Africa a lot. In Africa, you don't have healing downloads. Then he just distributes bottles with drops, with fluids. Yeah.
There's somebody on the chat who says, Sakana says Peter does sound remedies. So sound healing, color healing, hypnosis. I mean, I'm just thinking broadly about interventions that people can use to heal their pains, their sufferings, their traumas. Of course, homeopathy is what we think of first.
Yes.
And we have in our repertory many, many hundreds of pages of fears and phobias and delusions and things like that, of mental and emotional disorders. But also, there are other things that people can do to relax themselves, to alleviate those traumas, to let them out of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have personally listened to some of those resonance healings, and they're nice to listen to. I don't know exactly if it has worked for me, but maybe we can get some input from those who have done it. Yvonne says, isn't carcinosin considered a Beethoven musical characteristic? I don't know the answer to this one.
Wow, me neither. Is it for a quiz? Because I don't know
if he's here.
If the picture is up, like he's here.
No, he went to see a patient. So what else would you like to tell us about maybe your challenges? And, you know, I heard this part about the attack, and there was just recent news this week about removing any funding from homeopathy. I think it was in Scotland or maybe the UK, the NHS, and there is this tremendous force of against homeopathy specifically that is very concerning to homeopaths around the world.
Yes, especially as you said in the UK or in Scotland, they suffered a lot from these campaigns over the last few years. But the same is happening in Holland and Belgium and in Europe everywhere actually. And the only explanation I have is because they know it works, right? Why would you otherwise try to suppress it so vigorously? Because there are so many alternative therapies, and most of them are left alone. It's the homeopaths suffer the most under these attacks. And, you know, it's very sad because the University of Westminster is closed, because there no the homeopathic faculty, because there's not enough subscriptions anymore, and the homeopaths lose their clients, etc. So that's indeed one of the reasons for my work. There's many aspects, but this is not only like homeopaths unite and join with the other natural healers, and actually with every healer, but also like a call to regain your self-respect and get back on your feet and just ask for the respect and the reward that you deserve, and I mean the freedom of treatment in general. It's something that the public should realize, that they don't have the freedom for treatment if this and this and this therapy is banned, or the availability of natural products is also in danger. And I think we have a freedom to have these natural products available, and we are adults. We can decide whether we want to buy them or not, or use them or not. And we have also the right to have objective information. I think that's that's a basic right. So this walk is also in this, is done with this idea in the background, and I think a lot of people will resonate with that part of it. And in the bigger picture, like we will have to demand it, because it's under threat now. And if we're divided, it's very easy to ignore us, or to exclude a little group. But if everybody joins and there's a large number of people say, just wait a minute, we want to have a choice of therapies, and we want to make a free choice, and we want to have the possibility of buying or getting the products that we think are helpful for us. So that's the other aspect, actually, the other part of my message. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. There's a lot of different factions, different parts of information that you want to tell the world and why you're doing this walk. And it seems as if as you go along, you're going to develop new affirmations and new slogans that people will pick up for walking for freedom, walking for our rights, walking to practice the way that we wish to for healthcare. In the chat, Sukana again says that there was just a discussion about the NHS clinic in Lothian in Scotland, and whether they will remove the funding to have that facility. And then we also have, yes, they're agreeing it's all about freedom of choice. And what scares me is that so many just general public out there don't even realize this is happening, that they are losing their rights, that they can't go into a store and pick up herbs anymore. And they don't realize who is behind it and how they can empower themselves to stand up and change things. Every Thursday I talk with Alan Phillips about vaccinations in your rights in America and how we must all get active legislatively. And so this goes across the world in every continent. So how will you encourage people?
Well, what the person can do is you speak your truth, right? I think there's no more than you can do than that. And if you go out and speak your truth on the streets, I mean, not only in my office, I think I did that the last decades, or in the places that I was invited to teach homeopathy. And I still want to do this, but the other part of it is like, go out and say, I'm a homeopath, and this is my work, and it's under threat for this and this reason, and it's a good healing system. I can show you a wonderful case, or you can see thousands of cute cases if you Google for 10 minutes, or here is the information, and do you want us to disappear, or do you want us to stay? Then you have to at least do something. In the UK, they sell buttons, and it says homeopathy worked for me. I think it's a very good idea, because in the newspapers, it's every day or every week there's an article that the homeopathy killed somebody or whatever, or some scandal, and then just having this button on your coat saying, no matter what you're saying, that it's all nonsense, it worked for me. I think it's a very good idea that every person that benefited from homeopathy that would just show it, tell it to everybody, because people sometimes they go to homeopaths for 20 years and they don't even dare to tell their neighbors because of the negative publicity everywhere. So everybody keeps it for themselves. But I know I have at least 1,000 addresses of homeopaths in Belgium, and it's such a small country. And all the homeopaths have clients, you see.
We have to be the walking billboards. So
yes,
we
like that.
When people see those who have used homeopathy in their lifetime and for many generations, and see the health of the individual, the self-assurance and the self-esteem, and the way the person carries themselves and respects others, and the way that we behave and treat our neighbor, because the golden rule is really what life is all about. And so if we act in such a way that they can look at us and say, what are you doing? Let them ask us. And I love the idea about the button, homeopathy works for me, because this is your personal statement. We have in the chat, Mr. M says, I find myself using hypnosis often, and Kafitha asks a good question. Do you carry any liability insurance while healing patients with homeopathy as you move around to the different places?
Liability insurance means?
Yeah, health insurance. In other words, for your practice.
Well, I don't know if I have to say this in the open, but I'm not too insurance-minded.
Okay, because usually, if ever I help anybody, I say this is under consent, that you understand that I personally am not a physician. This is more educational, and my training is all in master's degrees in education. And I want to let you know that this information is out there, that this energy remedies are for anybody in the world to use. It is their right to be able to use them. And if I say anything, it's up to that individual to choose to use it or not. And this is the way I help people who are inquiring. I mean, if somebody falls and I happen to have a tube of arnica with me, then I say, if you want this, you can choose. This is your right to choose. So that is basically what she's asking. Yeah, malpractice.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's dying on the street, what are you going to do?
Well, you do what you can, huh? I'm not going to think about insurance.
if you're human and you have compassion for another person and you see that they are in pain and suffering and they ask for help, then, what else can you do?
Of course. You do what you can. Whatever is in your possibilities. But in general, maybe I don't know if it's a reaction to the question that you said or to the statement that you just came to read. But in general, I think you can explain. You have to explain your patient what you're doing if they don't know. But in the end, you're responsible as a homeopath for your treatment. It's not the patient. The patient doesn't know what you're doing because we studied for so long. We studied for 7 years, and then there's a lifelong study, and we cannot just put it in the hands of the patient and say, if you want to take it, you take it, and if not, you don't, because they don't know. You can explain what you're doing. You're the specialist, and you're responsible for your treatment, not for their life, but for your treatment. So you can explain what you're trying to do with your patient, and you have to evaluate as to adults if you managed, if you reached your purpose, if you have your goal. But if you set your goal, but it's not up to your patient. It's not like, well, if you want, you take it or not. The patient doesn't know what the remedy can do, or what's the impact of a remedy, or how many times to repeat it, in what potency. That's our skill.
You're the expert, and also for Dr. Sharma, he's an MD. He's a trained physician. This is his practice and his career. So I understand that. I said personally for me, I am an educator besides a homeopath, and my mission mostly is education. As for you are practicing homeopath, and it is a question in America because malpractice is rampant, and doctors get sued left and right, even if they're not. So this is the tenor of the world today, that puts fear into the hearts of anyone who wants to help another human being, when we should not feel this way. And it's because of the medical world itself, and the amount of drugs that are used, and the way medicine is practiced, that they do so many labs and so much this, and it costs so much that people are in a different mind frame than somebody who wants to heal themselves.
Exactly. If you have, let's say, if you have this intention, or you have this posture as a healer, I don't think you have to worry too much about malpractice, or people thinking that you're going to hurt them or some way, while we know that allopathic medicines have a lot of side effects. They would admit it's not something that we say, so you can expect that people will complain because they're not cured and have side effects. So many people probably are not happy, and then they sue them because they feel they're not well after a treatment that costs them a lot of money. But I don't think homeopathy is a lot of danger in the same situation, because in general homeopathic remedies don't have any unwanted or undesired effects, or not even long aggravations. If they do have an aggravation, in the end, it turned out to be like a healing crisis, and everybody's happy, right?
I think you're going to have a lot of controversial discussions along your way on the walk. I mean, people are going to bring up these very sensitive questions to you about, how to practice, what to practice, who can be helped. People are going to ask you, that a person has high blood pressure, diabetes, or obesity, and they're going to want to know answers. And, along the way, and it's very, very personal. So
that's right. Yeah, but I'm open to that, of course.
Well, we have only a few minutes left, and I want to give you an opportunity. I mean, we've had a lot of chat. People have been wonderful in there asking questions, and we will relay some more questions in the future to you. So tell us any special words, closing message.
Well, a few days ago, Marcy, Marcy, she said your walk is like a very big container there, and people can project many things on it, whatever they resonate with, either with your personal quest or with your walk in nature, the hiking, which connects and it's on a natural pace, and it like replenish your soul when you're a lot in nature, or they connect more to you come with a message and the message is important, or they connect more with the healing part of it, or whatever. And to me it's all fine. There are many aspects and there are many things that are possible, and I hope because it's so it's having these many aspects that a lot of people feel like inspired or wanting to do something as well, and everybody can do something. So it's not one fixed format. It's like a playground for many possibilities, and I would love to see that happen. That would be really great.
We will get as many people to join in too.
Yes, it will really be a great step for the betterment in homeopathy. And what I suggest, Annie, you just take a liability insurance and spread the knowledge of the individualization. That homeopath is a super specialist. The super specialist in conventional medicine have individualization in the disease diagnosis, but we are the only have this kind of therapy in whole world that should be individualize the person.
I fully agree.
Individualize the person. That we are also spreading the knowledge of classical homeopathy in India also. And here is the message from me. Good luck for the walk.
Thank you for your kind words. The sound wasn't great, but I think I got your message.
He sent you blessings and
yes,
talk about the classical homeopathy. And we are all behind you, and we're going to gather more speed, kind of like the Pied Piper. More people will join in as you begin the journey October 15th, 2012. You will get up and there will be sunny skies, and I'm thinking about clear weather for you, and a lot of healing energy.
That will be really great. We'll take pictures, Debbie, and if not, we'll put them on the blog.
Yes, I will notify folks about the blog and keep writing more blogs. So this is the end of today's Health In show. And in 1 hour, I'm going to be doing a special teleconference with Kate Birch and Scylla Watcott about homeoprophylaxis. And for those who want to join us, you have just 1 hour to contact me at homeopathyworldcommunity@gmail.com and inquire if you are a professional homeopath to learn about this. And we will have Wednesday, Dr. Adil on Blog Talk Radio talking about Kent's repertory and the chess chapter, plus answering all your questions around the world about health. On Thursday at noon, we have Alan Phillips, Vaccinations and Your Rights, on Blog Talk Radio as well. And there's always news about vaccinations. So I'm going to just send waves of awareness and lots of love to everyone, to all of our listeners. Thanks for tuning in. Until next Monday at 11 Eastern Time. Bye-bye.
Here is the very
Bye,
best
Debbie.
wishes from many of in the chat, like Vita, Mr. E.M., Yogni. All the best from all of us. And
Thank
we'll
you.
get in touch during the walk. Thank you. And
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for your kind words. Bye, Debbie.
Bye-bye.
Nice talking to you.
Bye.
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 You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. to noon. Health In with Debby Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. to noon. The Scope of Things with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 7 to 8 p.m. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 to 9 p.m. Body Talk with Cindy Prince, first Tuesdays 8 to 9 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 8 to 9 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.